Out of that whole play, that's what you took from that? You don't know football. You can't do nothing that I do. You can't go out there and do nothing. Stay in your lane, buddy. Stop playing me, bro.
Just asking a question, Trayvon. I mean, I'm happy to have you answer the question.
Out of that whole play, that's what you took for that? That's what you got from that whole play, that's what you got from that?
I'm asking you. We can talk about it more. What were you doing then?
The love-hate relationship between athlete and journalist has been a constant since the Greek Olympics and goes on in locker rooms weekly. Philadelphia Sixers star Joel Embiid was suspended for 3 games for shoving a local columnist. Embiid was upset that Philadelphia's Marcus Hayes mentioned the player's dead brother as well as his son in a column. While I do think that columnists can take it a little bit too far, and journalists can take it too far, putting your hands on a person is never good. But this isn't really anything new. Controversy between athletes, coaches, and journalists have taken place likely from the time sports started getting coverage. Anytime you are around people as often as beat writers and teams are together, there will be some friction. It's human nature. Social media and the internet has just opened it up for the world to see. In the past, something would happen. A week later, if not earlier, it would be squashed. Now it's out in the open and people can see it. Now, columnists are different from beat writers. They aren't there every day, and what they say is mostly opinion based. Beat writers are with athletes and teams every day. They break news, they ask stupid questions, they dig, they probe, they praise. Let me tell you something. Most reporters want the players and teams that they cover to be successful. That makes their jobs easier. But a good journalist never makes it about them. They report, they explain, or they give their opinions. It should not be personal. Stuff comes out mostly on teams that are losing. Players have to know that there are some things, schemes, terminology, that journalists just don't know. That's why they get the stupid questions. When they perform great, the athletes are praised. When they don't, people take shots at them. Some journalists would do it as well. But also, journalists are just pointing out or asking questions that need to be asked. Good journalists can critique an athlete's play and not the person. Some, yeah, take it too far. But also, some athletes and coaches just can't take criticism. It is a dance that will continue to happen as long as reporters cover games and teams. The world is getting more of a peak.
I'm gonna give you a chance to say a little bit more on that before I comment.
Well, like I said, it's a dance. It's a dance that journalists have to play, or that journalists do play, in that, especially beat writers. And that's why I explained the difference between beat writers and columnists. The person who Joel Embiid had a beef with is a columnist. Columnists' jobs is to give their opinions on certain matters. And they're not there every day. They don't have to be there every day. They're wherever they go. Whereas the beat writer of the teams are there every day, and they're usually the ones who ask off the wall questions because they're just trying to get the athlete to either speak on something or open up about something that that we don't want to assume that we know.
Well, are the columnists local? Or can both of them be local? Who's the national reporters?
Well, some papers back in the day and websites, they have national reporters where they can go anywhere,
Okay.
anywhere over the country. Some have just columnists who stay home and cover the home teams,
Okay.
but they're not, they're not there every day, so they may not know um, the injury report or something like that. They're doing their homework on, and usually before the game, they have their mind up on what they want to talk about. And this is in most sports.
So they're not necessarily uh, assigned to the Tampa Bay Bucks. They may be covering any sport in the area.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
They may do the Bucks this week, next week, or if the Lightning have a better game, they'll be at the Lightning game. If there's more than one columnist, then usually they have one at a football game and maybe one at the Lightning game or the Rays game or whatever. So it all depends on the paper and their stance, and usually it depends on the team itself and if it's winning or not.
Okay. Okay. See, I was curious. I never knew there was a difference between the columnist and the beat reporter. So I appreciate you clarifying that for people. I probably was the only one who didn't know that, but the columnists, I mean, the beat reporter is usually assigned, and they cover the FAMU football team, and
Yeah,
that's what.
they're every day, or if not every day, they keep up to date on what's going on with FAMU football. And then let's take the Democrat. So when I was a student there, they used to have, let's see, Whitley. I think they only had one sports columnist, and they had a general newspaper columnist. I think Perk was a general columnist who used to write on everything, not just sports. So the one columnist would decide which game to go to. If it's football season, usually I go to FSU. Uh, Very rarely did the Democrat have a columnist unless the beat writer himself wrote columns, which we have done in the past in smaller newspapers. I've written columns when I used to cover the Bucks. I used to write a game story as well as write a column on the game. But there would be times that bigger games we will bring in another person to write the column.
Well, was Embiid, in your opinion, out of place, or where was he out of place?
He was out of place by putting his hands on him.
Okay.
Period. As a man, it's hard to go against what he did because you're talking about someone who's dead in his family and his family. Period.
Right.
And sometimes that's crossing the line. Well, that is crossing the line most of the time. This is my only concern about that situation. Joel has in the past talked openly about his brother as well as his son and leaving a legacy. His brother and son has the same name, Arthur. How about that? So he's talked about leaving a legacy for them. He's talked about this. It's been in papers. It's been written about. That is my only. Now this reporter, they say had something against Joe. They don't get along or something. I don't know that, but if that's the case, then what he did, he was poking the bear. The report, the columnist. But if he was just trying to use it for context, and this is why I think this is the case, then Joe really stepped over the line. The NBA, either way, the NBA had to suspend him. 3 games. But what's funny is he hasn't played a game all season.
Right. He's not playing anyway. So that was a powerless punishment. Now, what I really think, just based on what we've heard, I think your writer used that to kind of bait him, and he kind of knew that when he said it, he was treading on dangerous turf, and he wanted to elicit the response that he got. Embiid was wrong to put his hands on him and all, but he was, and reporters do have a tendency to do that. Some reporters have a tendency to do that. Let me phrase that differently. They kind of went at Dion, and I've seen some other reporters with other coaches that they go after, and they'll respond, and it lasts for about a 36-hour time frame, and that's the end of it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well, it
seeing it,
happens, Coach. It happens every week, Coach, and we just don't see it. Happened in the Bucks locker room so often,
doesn't.
so often. My goodness. So, and I've seen reporters or I've seen players have to be restrained from reporters going after reporters.
But you didn't see the reporter responding. You saw them almost like they were standing there to see how far it would go, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh. I remember. I remember vividly. This one player thought I was another reporter and said, "Hey, you." I was like, "Nah, wrong one." Like that, and the guy he was looking for said, "Yeah, here I am. And this is what I said. What? Let's talk about." And just like that clip that I showed,
Mm-hmm.
the reporter said, "Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it." Sometimes they do that for show.
Mm-hmm.
They especially if the camera's on them, they do it for show. Whereas this guy, in the case that I'm talking about with Tampa Bay, there was no cameras there, and it was just like, "I'll tell you what you want to know, but let's talk." And the guy said, "No, ain't no talking. Let's just." He wanted to throw down over something, and it was a mess. And then they ushered us out of the daggone locker room.
Say right when it got good, huh?
Oh yeah. But and then they blamed me. The other reporters said, "Yeah, Rick, you started that." No, Rick said he wasn't the guy.
Right,
That's what Rick Brown did.
right.
Now, y'all take it any way y'all want to, but I did have I've had incidences uh, with athletes, and one when I'm interviewing another guy, this player said, "Don't talk to him. He doesn't. He's full of whatever." And I paused my interview and apologized. Said, "Let me see what this guy's talking about," and went over and said, "Yo, man, me and you, I thought we've always been cool. What was that about? Trying to call me out in front of everybody."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw what you wrote in about our defense and blah blah blah. I said, "What did I say?" You said our defense was bad. We played bad. Did you? Well, yeah, we did, but it was just the way you said. How else can you put you guys sucked? I didn't say sucked. I mean, this is me talking to him. I say you sucked that day. Am I lying? Okay, I'll use your words. You played bad that day. Well, that's what I said because I can't write suck. But at the end, he was like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm just probably in my feelings." I said, "Well, look, brother to brother." I said, "Don't do that in front of. Don't do that because you're making me look bad for one thing, and I'm already with the Ledger, not with the Tampa Tribune or the St. Pete Times or a national newspaper. So I'm working up my credibility." And you've been here since blah blah blah. That how I write, what I write about. I'm not attacking anyone. I'm writing what I see. I'm not a fan of the Bucks. I'm not an enemy of the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So we squashed it, and it went on. I mean, we went on until he left the team. But it's and I've had one get in my face, one into one, and it wasn't even over anything I wrote. It was just something I said. Flip it, and he didn't like it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, man, if you're that sensitive, man, come on, man. And there comes a time I was wrong. I was totally wrong. As a man, you're not getting in my face though. Without we gonna have some discussion. So I don't care if you're an athlete or my boss. We can talk about this as adults. I wish Embiid And the columnists could have had that discussion as adults. But I do understand that when you're angry, if you feel someone's pushing your buttons, you can only take so much, and you snap. I understand that. I was wrong in my case. I think the reporter was wrong there too. Oh yeah, I always have flashbacks of stories dealing with journalists because I mean I've been there. I know some of the have gone through some of the things they've gone through, Diva. So I a little sensitive about the. It touches home, not sensitive, but it touches home for me.
Okay, okay. Well, we appreciate you sharing that from experience, what you had been through, and we appreciate that. You're allowing us some things we don't normally see, and continuing on our national stories for the week.
There's a ton of basketball to go, but the NBA has gotten off to an interesting start. Boston is second in the East at 7-1, and OKC undefeated in the West. No surprises there, as the Celtics are the defending NBA champions, and OKC was the top seed in the West going into the playoffs last year. What is surprising, however, has been the start of the Cavaliers, who have a franchise record 8 straight wins to start the season. They're doing it on both sides of the floor. Cleveland leads the league in field goal percentage and is second in points scored per game and three-pointers made. They're also second in the league in steals and fifth in defensive rating. That's the formula of something special. On the other side, however, Milwaukee's 1-6 start, their worst start since 1993-94, is strange. With Giannis and Dame Leonard, they have 2 legit superstars on the squad, but something is not clicking. Since 1970, 150 teams started the season 1-6. Only 12 of them have gone on to make the playoffs. The Bucks have shown in the past they are not against making moves early, so if something doesn't change quickly, Coach Doc Rivers and his staff, along with the players, could be in for a major shakeup. Stay tuned.
Segment.
This is the coach from the Mick and Rick Show. You can see us Wednesdays live on Insights YouTube at 7:05. We talk about all types of sports topics and information. Everyone talks about Rick and his cup, but he talks quicker and quicker when that bottom is up. I'm just saying. What the damn hell?
That's funny. I think I speak well out of the cup. Tune in and tell me what you think. Mick and Rick, Wednesdays 7:05 on Insights YouTube.